Let's take a look at what is happening in the markets, and we start off with the JSE getting quite a mixed bag of sentiment from the Asian markets. Chinese markets are closed for holiday today, but we are seeing the JSE slightly in a green territory with the all share up by almost 0.1%. Of course, a little bit of a turnaround from yesterday's red session. We do have the Resources 10 complex carrying those gains up more than 2.5%. Carrying most of those losses is the Financial 15 with a slump of more than 1%. And the Industrial 25, they're giving up 0.1%. Let's take a look at what is happening with markets stateside. And on that front, investors digesting comments from Jerome Powell yesterday, in which he basically poured a cold water on an expected or what are the options that markets, possibilities that markets had placed there of another 50 basis point hike at its next meeting. We do have a sea of red over there with the S&P 500 declining almost 1.5%, with the tech-heavy Nasdaq down by almost a similar margin, and the Dow there shedding almost 0.2%. Let's take a look at what is happening with the markets across the Atlantic, and we did have the Eurozone inflation data, preliminary data for inflation coming in for September there, with a cooling down to 1.8%. Of course, it was a surprise to the downside and also below the ECB's target of 2%. The FTSE 100, though, being the only bourse in a green territory, up by almost 0.4%. CAC 40 there with a decline of more than 1% and a slump on the DAX of almost 0.9%. Let's take a look at what is happening on the currency scene, and we start off with how the rand is doing against some of the major currencies. A little bit of weakness coming through to the rand against the US dollar, almost by 1%, at 17 rand 39, against the pound at 23 rand 8 cents, and against the euro at 19 rand 25. Let's take a look at how the other currency pairs are doing, starting off with the euro dollar at 1.1, the pound dollar at 1.32, and the yen just below 144 against the US dollar.